Oh, guys, Bill here. Well, most of us have seen the brouhaha that accompanied Dr Warren Farrell's lecture at the University of Toronto. If you haven't, then basically the student union tried to block access to the event, screaming abuse at the police and anybody who was brave enough to try and gain entry. Yeah, nice work, future leaders of industry and government. I say student union. There are a fair few from the Socialist Workers' Party there, and the crowd may or may not have been mainly students. Now you might be wondering where the hatred for Dr Farrell comes from. You know, whatever they routinely accuse the men's rights movement of, he's nothing to do with that. See, they outed him as an MRA. He's about as close to a moderate feminist as anything you're likely to see. But I think that's a big part of the hate. He's not just another MRA. He's a powerful, influential author and political commentator. He's held senior positions in the women's rights movement. When he talks, people listen, and he's not sending out the right message. When a person who formerly campaigned against wage discrimination says, "Oh, wait a minute, I might have got that part wrong, and the reason being the choices I campaigned long and hard for you to have," then the movement has got to attempt some kind of damage control. If Dr Farrell wouldn't accept patriarchy, then he can no longer be trusted or used by the cause. So you can forget his prior record, forget his demonstrated support of women's rights. He needs to be silenced. Now, if you've seen the TV, it's difficult to believe that a highly intelligent, articulate woman like Danielle Sandu could possibly be naive enough to believe that the men's rights movement would support a man claiming to defend rape, incest and violence against children. But that's exactly the charge she levelled in front of the cameras at Dr Farrell. Our trained monkeys were running around tearing down every poster they could find. They bullied, harassed and they attempted to intimidate anyone who tried to attend the lecture. They were howling hate at the top of their spiteful little voices. I guess irony's not really their thing. But this wasn't a protest, this was a deliberate attempt to suppress the truth. And of course it didn't work. I mean, a couple of days ago, my reading Dr Farrell's work was something that was on the back burner. You know, maybe I was going to do it in the spring. Today, I'm already subscribed to his channel. I'm eagerly waiting for his latest book to pop through my letterbox. I'll stick links in the low bar, you can do exactly the same thing. If they want to shut him up, I want to hear what he's saying. It's all very familiar. I mean, we're haunted by shades of Sasha Wiley here. But I'm struggling to see the source of their hatred and their anger. They live in the land of milk and honey. These clowns have got access to a first-rate education, they've got excellent job prospects when they leave it, and they've got a lifetime to explore all those exciting, trendy, alternative lifestyles that they're always pushing. I mean, are they really that threatened by a movement that's asking for nothing more than equality before the law? And you know, the really bizarre thing is that Dr Farrell appears to be proposing putting women into the dominant role in society. His model sees men taking on the role of homemaker a lot more than they do today. Now, it's not as radical as it might seem. There's a great many advantages to having a father in a child's life, so partnering is a useful and a valuable reproductive strategy for a woman. Yeah, having dads looking after the children might not be as far from traditional roles as it might appear. Alright, I'm going to shamelessly pilfer Girl Rights Watch's caveman analogy. We were hunter-gatherers for most of our time on Earth. Now, it's probable that women largely did the gathering, while men largely did the hunting. And it's not too hard to imagine a scenario where the men were close to the children for most of the day, keeping an eye on the tribe's most valuable assets, while they manufactured and maintained tools, weapons, clothing, and their shelters. Meanwhile, the women would be foraging nearby. Now, like modern hunter-gatherers, they could hunt at night once the women were back to take over the task of guarding the children. A single kill can last a tribe days. Alternately, seasonal hunts would result in a large stock of meat or fish that needed cured, smoked, or salted, however they were going to keep it. Either way, the men are going to be around for most days, either preparing for the next hunt, preparing for the next tribal migration, or just preserving the winter's food supply. Now, I know what you're thinking. In the modern world, having a man around the house seems like a very old-fashioned concept. But the reality is, if women are going to be the majority of graduates, pretty soon there won't be enough high-status males to go around. There's advantages that go far beyond wealth and status in having your man close to hand. Now, it's true the proposed future woman would have to finance much more of the household than she does today. But the payback in stability for your child, in shared parenting tasks, in support for your career, it would far outweigh any kind of financial aspect. And you've got to remember, the alternative to having a partner is foregoing all of those advantages and having to finance 100% of the household. Now, you start thinking about it like that, it's kind of hard not to see the appeal of the good doctor's proposal. Of course, for it to work, men have got to cooperate. And for us to even consider this brave new world, public perceptions are going to have to radically change. Now, Dr Farrell's making a radical proposal to fix what looks like is soon going to be an irretrievably broken society. I'm extremely impressed with his whole take on this, and I really can't wait to get my teeth into his written work. I don't know if his plan will work. Or if I've picked him up right, or even if I agree with him. But he's definitely somebody I want to hear more from. Which brings us back to that horrible, spiteful Marxist student collective. They already have their vision for the future. You got powerful matriarchs, you got state support for single mums, and men reduced to dumb labour and a tiny ruling elite. Sounds absolutely peachy if you ask me. Laters, guys.